Good morning, Jeanette.
Connect early. Sometimes I struggle to get into Zoom. Hang on a
No
second.
problem. I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me? Jeanette, can you hear me?
We've got a power outage when load shedding didn't come. Yes, I can. Yes.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, I can. Nice to meet you finally.
Okay. I'll put the video on. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
First of all, my deepest condolences for your loss. I
Thank
can't
you.
imagine
Yes,
what you're going through.
it was all very unexpected and very sudden. I'm still trying to get my head around it. So
I can imagine.
I will take notes. No, I will try
Well,
and retain.
I'll record the session and I'll send you the recording anyway of it.
Useful for Ari as well.
Absolutely. So, like I say, thank you for agreeing to discuss this with me now. I don't know whether Ari's had any discussion. I don't think he's had an opportunity yet to have a discussion with you, has he?
He said briefly you're involved in something that might be aligned to what I do, but
all right.
Imagine I know nothing and let's take it from there.
Okay, good. So what we're doing is we are beginning the process of creating incubators. When I say incubators, instead of sending a graduate out to a company to be employed within a company, at least initially, we're creating an incubator which is capable then of itself employing the individual and putting the person to work on company projects. So practical example might be that our first incubator that we're creating is around the marketing and sales qualification, where we take a marketing and sales graduate, possibly into a learnership, a marketing learnership within our incubator. And we train those people up to become promoters for the company of its product in retail stores.
Right.
At the same time, we'll take a couple of general management qualified individuals, who've done either a BCom in management or something like that, and put them into a general management learnership to be trained up as the supervisory cohort for those promoters in store. And so the purpose of the incubator would then be to create business units for a company, which is maybe a manufacturing company. So we've got a marketing and activation business unit, which is run by our incubator as a service to the company. Now, the reason for doing that in relation to BEE is that it will qualify as a YES project, a youth employment service project.
Yeah.
And the benefit of a youth employment service project is that it allows a company to skip one, if not two, triple BEE levels in the process. And a company is entitled to downstream its YES target if it can't absorb the target itself. So what we're doing is we're creating incubators in the hope that the company will agree to receive the service from these individuals rather than to have to employ these individuals. And we'll do
Give me a moment. I just want to get a glass of water.
No, of course, please, go ahead.
Maximum points.
Sorry, you were saying?
Ideally absorption for maximum points, but even without that, they get points and tax break.
It's not the absorption points, it's different. The absorption points is, the reality is, if we take learners out of learnerships into our incubator, then that will qualify for absorption points. So if we take learners who have been on learnership with a company and we put them in a YES incubator, that will qualify for absorption points. But more importantly, after a company has been verified, and there is a yes incubator in place meeting the company's targets, the company will be entitled to 2 triple BE jumps, which is a major selling point, a major advantage for us.
Okay.
So our low-hanging fruit is this. We are going to go after establishing a value proposition for law firms to start off with, where we're saying to law firms, give us your secretaries, let us put those secretaries into a 1-year learnership, a paralegal learnership, and thereafter we'll put those secretaries into a YES program for your company, where they will specialize either in paralegal, general paralegal activities, or in activities relating specifically to chartered secretarial services, or in activities relating to triple BE, internal triple BE consulting services as a paralegal. So that's going to be our next incubator. Our first incubator, which is the promoter incubator, has already begun, in the sense that I've brought in one of my clients who has that need. And on the back of creating an incubator for my client, we are going to build the infrastructure around incubation services within Boston. But essentially, what is it? It takes graduates and it puts graduates in one way or another into jobs. Initially, the jobs are with us. So we create a work hive, if you want, which is what the incubator is, but it's on behalf of companies. So companies will pay for the salaries and the admin fees of that work hive, because in doing so, companies will get the YES benefit for their triple BE escalation. Okay. So far, so good. Any questions?
Yes. Ari has often created workplaces to satisfy the workplace requirements of a learnership. I'm sure you're aware of that in the past.
Like debt collecting, for example.
Call center, for example.
Yes.
Where are the incubators going to be housed?
We are going to house the incubators there in Braamfontein.
Because we have space.
Because you have space, obviously. But more importantly, a lot of the time, these individuals are going to be housed in the companies where they're doing in-company work. So practical example, the marketing incubator, the activation incubator, the individuals will spend maybe a day a week in our facility, but more importantly, they'll spend Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings in retail stores doing their work under supervision of the supervisors.
So obviously for the training component, the learnership training that will happen at Boston.
Well, it may and it may not. So there will be a large proportion of the training. So remember something, let me emphasize something. For a YES incubator, it can't be formalized training. It comes after formalized training.
Yes.
So
postgraduate.
Exactly. It's like an internship. It says it's not an internship, but it's an internship, essentially.
It is an internship. Paid work experience.
Exactly. So the object of the work incubator is that the training we give will be CPD training. It will be short, sharp, focused. Most of it will be online. Most of it that's not online will be in company on product training or service training, etc.
Not a learnership in the normal sense.
No.
Oh, okay.
So we're combining a couple of things here. We're combining the idea that the incubator will incubate learners in learnerships, but it will also incubate YES targets for companies. And those are two different things. The one is a learnership and the other one's a YES target. But the purpose of the incubator is to give people on learnerships proper and appropriate work experience so that they can fit into a YES program the year after. So with paralegals, as I said to you, we'll start with the learnership in the incubator for general paralegal services, because remember, in the learnership, 70% of the activity is work-based, as you know, and then we'll move them into a 1-year contract for the YES program, again, in the incubator, but now properly within the incubator as a work-based program for companies that want to outsource non-core functions to the incubator and so qualify for their triple BE scorecard points.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And let's be honest about something else as well, Jeanette.
Mm.
This is a science. This is an art, not a science. So as we walk along and we build the functionality and the toolbox of the incubator, I think the tools we see in relation to the learnership program will be very similar to the tools in relation to the YES component of it. But while we might join groups in terms of what they're exposed to in terms of training, the level of work activity and exposure will be far more incisive for the YES group than it will for the learnership group.
Yes, clearly, because they have a further qualification behind them.
And because they're essentially in a 1-year fixed term contract of employment as opposed to a learnership contract.
And they might already have a 3-year diploma or degree.
Right.
If I'm thinking of if we're going to maybe target the graduates I work with, for example, Boston graduates.
Yes. So this is all, look, well, certainly we want, from our point of view, the majority of this will be targeted towards Boston graduates.
Yeah.
Because what we're saying to Boston graduates is we're creating a supply chain for you into full-time and permanent work, but coming through our learnership, coming through our YES incubator, and then moving into, temp to perm conversion, if I can put it that way, back into the workplace. Or alternatively, and I anticipate that by year 3, we will have seen a rise in demand from companies in relation specifically to wanting the service to continue from the incubator as an outsource or as an in-source service rather than, in other words, like a sophisticated labor broking service. But, let's not jump the gun. That's certainly the 3-year vision of a program like this.
Yeah. Maybe smaller companies where you're offering maybe HR or finance.
Or payroll administration. Or in fact, chartered secretarial services, because the one reason that we're focusing on the paralegal qualification is that triple BE legislation implies that every single company should have access to a chartered secretary or chartered secretarial services for an audit trail of board meetings, for an audit trail of committee meetings, et cetera, and that's why it should be a very sexy proposition for a paralegal or rather for a secretary in a legal company to become a paralegal who's capable of offering a more enhanced and a more sophisticated kind of a service in committee and at board level meetings as well, because that's what the triple BE regulation demands. Verification agencies are saying we want to see audited minutes,
Okay.
So that's the direction that we would be moving in. So I think one of the reasons that Ari wanted you and I to network is, number one, a large proportion of what we do here depends on us being able to sell properly and effectively to workplaces, to companies, so that they can see the advantage. And number two, utilizing between 3 and 5 of our more notable graduates, our more outgoing graduates, our better equipped graduates, who we can then put to work within this program that we're creating to be able to get to companies, to sell to companies, to interest companies in what we're offering, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, to create a sales force.
Okay, interesting idea.
So the idea that we need to identify these people so that I can then sit with each of them individually, see where they can take us, and then, quite frankly, put them to work.
Okay, so some sort of ambassadors, as it were.
Well, as a sales force, let's call a spade as a sales force that is capable of opening doors, piquing interest for us, so that I can then walk in either individually with companies or collectively via breakfasts or finger lunches or something like that, and close the interest, capture their interest and the advantage. Ideally, essentially, we want to work up a database of human resource practitioners who will become, if you want, our links into the companies via these individuals.
Yeah.
So it's that I wanted to chat to you about as well, is how we start identifying those graduates who are possibly still unemployed, but who we can capture the inspiration and the attention of, to the extent that they want to work with us initially in the incubator as a sales force. And eventually, hopefully, as part of the team of the incubators that is going out into the marketplace. There's no intention to stand on the toes of any of your franchisors. I know it's no longer a franchise system, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Your branch owners or branch managers, etc. There's no intention of standing on their toes. The intention eventually is to offer them the service so that they can be getting the benefit of additional, candidates enrolling for their programs, etc., etc. So to pass the programming of whatever we're doing here back to the branches so that they're benefiting in the process.
Yeah, look, our department, Graduate Support Services, runs the work readiness course and tries to place graduates from all over,
right,
all campuses.
Right.
So the campuses, the individual campuses, focus on sales. This is their hectic time of year where they get new people in to study. They focus on the bodies they have in their campus.
Yes.
When they graduate, they're no longer their problem.
And then they release to you.
They do have some local connections, as you would hope. They do network with the companies in their areas, but they haven't got the time, quite frankly, to really be involved in graduate placement. That's not their role. So if a local company in Krugersdorp, let's say, phones the branch manager and says, I want a secretary, I want an IT support guy, they then contact me and say, Jeanette, help. You've got the database. This is what you do. This is the lead I've got. You take over.
So that's why Ari wanted us to work together.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, you've got the database of the graduates who are coming into the system who remain unemployed that we can then bring into either the advanced learnership, because they've already got a qualification, into the advanced learnership, which essentially would be a precursor to the second year, which is the YES incubator, or into the YES incubator directly, depending on the needs of the clients.
Yes, absolutely. And some of our, we've never had the resources to be proactive, and I would hope that we would get there. We are only 3 in the team. It's myself and 2 younger ladies who focus only on recruitment, or placement, I should say. And at the moment, we're reactive. Boston has a good name, so almost every day we are contacted by a company saying, I want a marketing intern, I have an entry-level position for an HR graduate. So we respond to those requests.
So now, when that happens now, the questions will become, do you have a BE level? Are you a measured entity? If you are, then we want to be able to give you what you're asking for, but in a more clever way, in a brighter way that can help you with your BE. If you don't, we can do both. We will help you with your BE, and we will create a situation that you don't have to sell the farm to get a BE level, because you can use our YES incubator, because you need these people anyway. You can use our YES incubator, pay less in terms of the salary you might have to pay the individual for that first year during the YES incubator, get to know the person better. We take the employment responsibility on our shoulders within the YES incubator for that first year. We put them to work on your matters, on your issues, whatever your issues are, whether it's HR or marketing or whatever, but in such a way that by the time we're ready to pass that person over to you, you can choose whether you want to take that person on board or not. And if you do want to take them on board, you've got a year's worth of them getting to know your company before you have to do something like that. That's the value proposition.
Yes. When Janine was still with us, Ari asked me to look at my list of clients, companies, to see which ones I could approach on that basis.
Yes.
A lot of them are very small. And I approached some of the bigger ones, and a lot of them said, thank you, I already have a BEE consultant. And the other funny thing is that it's often the BEE consultant who approaches us
Yes.
for the raw material to send to their clients.
Well, now with the BE consultant, our value proposition to the BE consultant is we specialize in creating yes incubators for you to on-sell to your clients.
Right. So there's two ways to handle it.
Yes.
Whatever the client is.
If you had to wager, I mean, if you had to think about it, what sort of number of BE consultants do you deal with?
It's a low percentage, I suppose, of the total number of clients that come to us.
All right.
But everyone I approach, we sorted. We already have a BE advisor. There were, I think, 2 that were happy for Jeanette to contact them. I'm not sure anything ever came of it, though.
For me, the important component in selling this proposition is that we're not selling BE solutions unless the client needs BE solutions. We're selling a solution that can help them with their current BE strategy. In other words, as much as I think of Boston as selling learnerships, or rather selling qualifications and therefore selling learnerships as well, we want them to start thinking that Boston can also sell yes solutions which can improve their BE status irrespective of what that BE status is.
Ari put me in touch with, I think her name is Arlene at the BEE chamber.
I don't know what the BE chamber is.
It's an organization for employers. I would suggest you maybe talk to him or
it's an organization for employers.
Look it up. Yes, for employers willing to host yes participants.
So they facilitate the yes program.
Absolutely.
Well, we're now getting into the same business.
Yes, but they're a big organization and they run training courses and all sorts of things.
Never heard of them.
Well, look them up. They're a pretty good bunch. And they were looking for, again, raw material graduates.
Right.
To be placed at some of their members.
Okay.
We sent them a whole bunch, and some of them got placed at really high-profile legal firms, for example. They just wanted bodies.
Right.
So we don't, in my department, we don't argue. If
this is the Alexander Forbes program. Okay, now I understand what you're talking about.
Maybe something like that. If somebody comes to us and they can offer a graduate a job, an internship, a learnership, we're there.
Right. Now I know Frick well. I know. Okay, now I know who you're talking about now.
Harry just warned us to be careful of companies who are themselves training providers. Yes. Obviously, we don't want to help a competitor put our graduates on a learnership when they could be maybe persuaded to come back to us for further study. That's a bit like shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right. No, of course, of course.
It's a bit tricky when it comes with a guaranteed job, though. Something like you're proposing.
So it's actually very encouraging. It's very cute. Let me just put it to you this way. The fact that we're talking about Andrew, and we're talking about Frick, and we're talking about Colleen and Bridget, it gives me a huge amount of satisfaction to know that we're doing something good and something that can make an impact. Let me leave it at that. All right. So good. So we know where we're starting. We know physically where we're starting as well. We're starting on the 6th floor at your place. You're in Bromfontein, right?
Okay, we're on the 5th floor.
No, that's fantastic.
I do. I work mostly from home. My 2 young ladies are there. Good. I might have forgotten to tell you, because he doesn't want to actually believe it himself, that I am retiring at the end of the year.
No, he has told me that.
He has. Okay. Yeah. So I am looking to find, and it's going to be hard to find because I've looked before, I need to find the right person to take over the whole training part of the program and our graduate plus component. I've got two young ladies who are doing well on the recruitment placement side.
Who
I've
does
trained
your
them
training?
up. Well, it's online, our work readiness course.
Okay.
But there's a whole cycle when a new cohort of graduates comes through, and we're talking mostly the HE graduates.
Mm-hmm.
When they come through, telling them about our services. Do they want to apply for our services, which includes our Graduate Plus guarantee? You must have heard of that. I
No,
hope.
tell me about that.
No, our marketing is not good enough.
Your marketing in this regard hasn't touched me yet.
Really, Ari will be devastated. We have billboards and we have on our website and our marketing collateral that if you come to Boston and you do a degree or a 3-year diploma, if you have not managed to find a job within 6 months, we have this guarantee that we will either help you get a job or we give you a bursary. It's quite, he started at the end of 2019. It is.
Can we just go over that a second? So you're saying
pretty bold, it's a pretty bold promise.
it's fantastic. So you're saying to every graduate that if within a 6-month period you remain jobless, you will come to us and we will take the responsibility of either finding you a job or what's the bursary issue?
We will pay for them to do one of our further qualifications, a postgrad if they did the degree, or the first year of the degree if they did a diploma.
Well, I can tell you that's the best provider proposition in the marketplace that I know of.
There are some T's and C's.
Okay, but let's just deal with it. It's the best value proposition in the marketplace that I know of that I don't know of. So it might.
I will be so upset.
It might very well be very advocated amongst the student population that graduate that register with you.
Either the salespeople at the branches are supposed to be pushing it, but what I like and I want to also push in the marketing is the fact that we help every graduate. Every graduate can do our online work readiness course. Every graduate gets,
because essentially what you're saying to these graduates, we try and help
every graduate.
So essentially,
guarantee for the rest.
Essentially what you're saying to graduates is this, that when you register at Boston, be comforted by the fact that you become a partner with ours for life. We become your customer service agent for life, essentially. Because on the one hand, should you find a job, we want to then take you through additional postgraduate activities in that job with that company so that we continue to be there as your advisor. On the other hand, if you don't find a job, we will endeavor to either find you a job or put you into additional qualifications so that you do qualify to find a job in the process. I think that's absolutely amazing.
We believe so strongly in the quality of our degrees and diplomas that we're pretty damn sure you're going to get a job. And if you don't, we will actually make good on our promise to either get you a job ourselves, or we work with them during the 6 months to try and link them with companies.
So what we're talking about now in terms of the incubator activity falls very squarely into doing that, into continuing to fulfill that promise.
Absolutely. The funny thing is, Ivor, you talk about youth unemployment and the high rate and everything. The demand for graduates outstrips my supply. Yes. A lot of them are not serious job seekers. They won't do my work readiness course. They won't take the advice we give them on their CVs. They couldn't be bothered to apply when there's a low stipend. They're not serious. So I end up sending the job opportunities to the ones who didn't apply for our help, who haven't done the course. It's actually an anomaly to me. Yes. Some opportunities I can't get takers for. It's the weirdest situation. And yet they're crying out that they're unemployed and they can't get jobs.
So I'm going to wager to, and I'm going to say something that's going to make me very unpopular, but I think it's the quality of the messaging that creates the attractiveness of what you're offering. And if marketing is bad, then, and the message doesn't get through properly, then people are disinterested. If you are not taking a person that you're managing to find a job for and making that person a hero in the process so that everyone aspires to want to be like that person, then you're wasting the opportunity. Not you, by the way. I just hope you understand what I'm saying.
We're using success cases, we're profiling them on our social media. Yeah. So somebody will say, you know, Boston has been great. They care about me even after I graduated, and they helped me get this great job. No, we do. We use that. I said to Ari once, can you measure the impact that this Graduate Plus has had on your, you know, on your intake? And he said, no, it's impossible to quantify. But I mean, one has to hope that it has had some measurable impact.
Why can't you just ask the question? Why are you registering with us?
I don't know if they do.
Surely you ask that question.
Maybe our marketing research isn't doing as much as it could be.
Anyway, let's start.
It's very interesting.
Let's start. Let's walk together. I think what's critically important is that I need to identify some of your graduates who you believe are on an interpersonal basis, have the skills to be able to open doors of professional firms and of small businesses that I can then start working with. That's the first point. The second point then is to put a database of companies that are comfortable with you and have worked with you previously, so that we can be putting value propositions to them that disarm their opposition to the fact that they've already got a BBB consultant in place.
Right.
That convince them and their consultant that all we're doing is offering them a tool that can be of benefit for them. And from a success point of view, that has the ability to market the successes we achieve in such a way that companies sit up and take interest in what we're offering.
Okay. Well, let's give Ari feedback on this.
I see. I just received something that says he's back on the 17th and we can meet again on the 17th.
Okay. Let's do that, and then we'll approach it like any other job opportunity. What I mean by that is we'll draw up a spec for these graduates you want.
Yes.
And I'll
can you and I maybe not start doing that anyway? Because that's part of why I'm here, is to bring those people on board, get that sales force churning, so that we can start getting the incubator marketed.
We'll target the marketing graduates from both Media House and City Campus. I'll maybe manage this myself to make sure we have an exhaustive set of criteria, put them through telephonic interviews, maybe video interviews first.
Perfect.
Have them write something to see that we're getting absolutely the best candidates before you even meet any.
100%.
So we'll do some hectic criteria. You can give me a start. And then I will sift through my top clients and make a start.
Good. Fantastic.
Okay.
It's great meeting you. Again, my condolences to you. And I hope that, you know, I hope we're going to be having this discussion in the next 10 years, quite frankly. So I understand what you're saying about the end of this year. I understand that. All right. but let's just keep talking.
All right. Thank you, Ivor.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it, Jeanette.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.